You've always been very outspoken in everything you said.
I don't know that I'm outspoken. I think that I tell you, I think I try to be as clear as possible.
When Debbie Reynolds died,
Yeah,
a day after her daughter,
sure.
you went on Twitter, and I looked, and the tweet is still there. You never took it down. You know,
I said that
there's
black
no apology.
people don't die because their kids do. We are born. Black people don't die because black women don't die because their kids do. They get it. They say God don't put more than you can bear. You know how many times I know a friend of mine. He's a great comic. His mother lost her husband, lost one of her other sons, and lost her other son, all within the same 10-year period. That woman ain't gonna, black people ain't gonna die because our kids do. We'll be sad. We'll get you a t-shirt to say remember LaJohn, but we ain't going nowhere. And it wasn't an assessment on somebody else. I tell jokes, sometimes people get them, sometimes they don't. I don't necessarily care what the affect is.
No, I feel you. You said something about Kendall Jenner. Like, remember there was the whole Pepsi thing that happened, and then it was Kendall giving the Pepsi to the cop?
Well, I just, even the whole, like the Bruce Jenner thing, people got upset about. I mean, look here, man. I do not, I mean, the whole 2-hour thing to tell people that you're going to change is, look, I was like, I remember the 2-hour press conference on ABC. I'm like, this man ain't been a woman 5 minutes. He already talking a lot. Like, I remember this whole move. At the time, they were telling me that Caitlyn Jenner was beautiful. There was a man that became a woman. They were telling me Serena Williams wasn't. They were telling me that she wasn't. Caitlyn Jenner, is she beautiful to me? No, she's not. She's not. And I drink. I'm fucked up. She looked like Miss Doubtfire to me. She does. Like the girl Laverne Cox, she looked like she went for the premium package. Caitlyn Jenner just got his Adam's apple knocked back. And I said that joke and people got upset. It's like, to me, like, I think that there are absolute truths. Like, I am a liberal. You can call yourself a woman, and I will call you what you want, but eventually a doctor gonna tell you need a prostate examination. And you can wear a sundress when you go, but you're still getting a finger in your ass. So, look, Mrs. Jenner, I don't want to offend you, but can you move your balls? Listen, I'm not trying to be politically incorrect, but cough. It's silly to me. These things are, and I think comedy has to be unflinching.
Well, right, because, and I've talked about this before. When you look at the comedy of like the 80s, that, like, for example, Eddie Murphy was doing. Right. You can't do that comedy these days without a whole bunch of apologies and losing shows.
I never got that. Like I remember we were doing a radio show and they said that they were gonna the Boy Scouts of America was taking transgender scouts. Okay, I'm a liberal. Dig it. I dig it. I get it. But that's a heavy thing to put. When you a scout, you 10 to 14 years old. That's a heavy trip to put on a little boy. You go on your first camping trip and you wonder why Chuck got his period. Like, Scoutmaster Chumpton, Chuck's been shot. Does he need supplies? No, Chuck needs a tampon. Look, from now on, our camping trips will be on the 29th of the month. So I think that there are things that are so fun. What's going on with this whole white supremacist thing. It makes me laugh. Like, I heard a white supremacist say that we built America. No, motherfucker, you handed out the work assignments. like when white people had America to themselves, they bought niggas in because they didn't want to work. It was never, like, white people went, I don't want to do all this shit. Who can I get to do it for me where I get to claim credit for it? Like, white people have never, they didn't build this country. They handed out the work assignments. All right, niggas, you got the cotton. Chinese, you got the railroads. And somebody get those Irish out of the bar. These tunnels ain't gonna dig themselves. So I think that those things are hilarious to me. I think that the problem in America we're having right now is that people read the brochure and America doesn't like it. That whole Emma Lazarus on the Statue of Liberty, give me your tired, your poor, the wretched refuge of your teeming shores. They came. If you don't want them to come, put except for niggas. You should say except for niggas and Mexicans, but you don't. Like, when they say stuff, you should say what you mean. Like, when they say in America you can work hard and be anything you want to be. You know, nobody works harder than poor people. You know what poor people get to be when they work hard? Here tomorrow. That's the fuck they get to be. They get to go to work tomorrow. So we make these, like this whole, whether we should take Confederate monuments down or not, these dualities of arguments are ironic to me. Like, you can't say that slavery's our original sin, the America's original sin, but then you build monuments to the people who perpetrated it.
Right. Well, you know, the thing about these monuments that I never realized, I was talking to a friend of mine about this the other day. She was telling me how a lot of those monuments didn't go up during the Civil War. They came
none
out
of them
afterwards during the Jim Crow times to kind of scare black people.
Jim Crow and civil rights. Listen, you building a monument to motherfuckers that lost. You getting, every time you see one of them, is a motherfucker whose way of life, whose ideas, whose school of thought was defeated. I don't want to be reminded of the losses. When they do that 30 for 30 with the Lakers and the Celtics and the Lakers lose, I can't even watch that shit because I don't want to see them lose. So it's a testament to losers, and it's ironic that people would argue over that. To me, that whole idea, like the southern region of the United States of America, we should sell it back. We should sell it back. We should.
To who? Mexico?
We can sell it to China. They buy everything. They buy old Jordans. They buy everything. I'm telling you, man, look, how is it that a region of the country that's a solid block of poverty, this is not just me, get to decide who the fucking leader of the free world is? You educationally, you're behind. Financially, you have failed educationally and financially, but you're deciding the future of the country. Like, people in America, the problem in America, we're two things. Some people want to be the Jetsons, and some people want to do the Flintstones. But the Flintstones are fucking in charge of the country.
Okay. Did you see Irv Gotti's explanation for what's
about
going
the
on in terms
Kardashians?
of nationalism?
Yeah, we talked about the Kardashians?
Right. His theory is that because the Kardashian girls, who are considered the epitome of beauty in America right now, they're fucking a bunch of black rappers. That's getting all the white people upset and causing all these feelings.
I think that's a silly notion. But what happened to the niggas got hung before the Kardashians? What happened to all the niggas that died before Twitter? Before social media? Before a sex tape? There was always this hate. Like, there's always these simplistic arguments. Like, when I hear people go, well, you black people say nigga, and so we say it. You say it in hip-hop culture all the time. Nigga's been the American lexicon since the early 1600s. Hip-hop been around since 1973. What came first, nigga or the Sugar Hill Gang? Mark Twain or Grandmaster Flash? We make these nonsensical arguments. And to me, it's a bunch of angry white people. If you're broke and white in America, you have wasted your whiteness. You should put it on eBay and sell it to some niggas who could use it. How did you blow a 400-year head start? That's the fuck I don't understand.
When people really say get over slavery, I don't think people realize that slavery has been part of America longer than it hasn't been part of America.
How the fuck can you say get over slavery, but you want to keep the monuments of it? You want me to get over slavery, you just want to remind me of it. Get over slavery, but I want to keep the statues. That's like if I'm in a relationship with a woman and I've been abusive, and we say we're going to work it out, but I keep all the things that remind her of how abusive I was. I keep the bandages, I keep the police report, I keep a photo album. Look, remember when I used to do, how the fuck can we move on?
Well, Charles Barkley spoke about the whole
Charles
monument.
Barkley,
He said
how
that
the dude, like, the one thing about Charles Barkley, how you gonna be a spokesperson and you don't know how to spoke? That's the fuck I'm talking about. I don't understand. You can't say terrible and be a leader to me. Like, I got a GED. Motherfucker, you went to college. You went to college. If you went to college and still say terrible, you fucked up.
Well, you said that Trump is a product of a white supremacist family.
Let me tell you something. Clearly, Trump's father, 1927, got busted at a Klan riot. The 1970s, he was sued by the federal government under Republicans for refusing to rent to black people and people of color. Settled. In the 80s, he tried to fire a black accountant from his casinos because he thought a Jew should be in charge of that. Then we had the Central Park 5. Then we had the whole birther thing. Then what he said about Mexicans. Then we said about immigrants. Then we said about the Mexican judge. So when did he stop being a racist? When did it happen? Donald Trump is a mediocre white cat at best. What he did, he proves succinctly that a white man's luck is not as good as a Harvard man's education to a black man's Harvard education in America. He's nowhere intellectually, morally, philosophically, anywhere on the plane with Obama. But he happens to be a fat white dude, so people accept it.
Well, how did you feel when, for example, Steve Harvey, who you've worked with closely, went to go visit Obama?
I think that Steve, I never faulted Steve. I think Steve is a good friend of mine. I think Steve, I can't question his motives, but I can always question Trump motives. To Trump, black people are photo ops. And Omarosa is no more than a nigger wrangler. I'm going to get pictures of these people, and what that does is create the optical illusion that I'm actually fair. Black people hang in his lobby, but they ain't in his cabinet. His administration, he's trying to roll back affirmative action in colleges. He is trying to make it hard. He reduced the amount of money that he gave to black colleges. He talks about the inner city, but his answer to them was to send in more police. He wants to roll back marijuana, make it harder, make it easier to jail people for marijuana. He wants to roll back mandatory prison sentences. He wants to open up private prisons. How the fuck is that any different? What did he take pictures of black people for? If you wanted pictures of black people in your mind, they should be in a mug book.
Yeah, I mean, after the whole Charlottesville thing, he lamented the loss of the Confederate statues.
Let me tell you something. What he's saying is that there was guilt, responsibility on both sides for the violence. That's saying that Heather Heyer is responsible for her death as the Nazi who killed her.
Right.
That's making a point. So Martin Luther King is as bad as the motherfuckers who set dogs on him. He's as bad as those people. Fighting hate is as bad as hate.
Right.
And what's particularly telling is that 70% of Republicans believe what he said was proper. They believe it,
really?
And they still support him. That's not me, that's them. So you can't accept something and not be permeated with it.
Right. Well, a lot of people did step away from Trump after that.
Not a lot. Six senators denounced him. Six.
Okay. I mean, we live in a pretty interesting world where, the Bushes is considered the anti-racists.
Right.
And Trump is considered
when a nigga miss Bush, you shit is fucked up.
Right. Everyone's looking at Bush now like, I don't think we had it that
He wasn't so bad. This dude, and when people pretend like they know, this whole thing, like you remember the whole idea, the birther thing was about race. The whole idea that we want Obamacare to go. When the black guy did it, now when that Obamacare was really gonna go, poor white people showed up. If you voted for Trump and you have a pre-existing condition like type 2 diabetes, you hate niggas more than you like your feet. Like, good luck hopping around that Make America Great rally on one leg. At least you the international hopscotch champion. I don't know that because they were so hateful of this. Even now, they hated the Kenyans so much they let the Kremlin take over our government. Russia being involved in our government, they picked our president. They were influential in picking the guy. That's like letting your ex-wife who hates you pick your new wife.